Hi, this is Lainey again. This is the last but one of our little interviews with authors today, and I'm excited because this is an author who is a great supporter of other authors and who I also have a lot of fun hanging out and chatting with. She's one of those amazing people that has interesting stories. Her name is Jill Hannah Anderson. Jill's two books, the To Hell and Back Club and The Crazy Little Town Called Love. There you go. There she is. You're on the lake. I was about to say that you're in beautiful country there.
Let me tell you, it's the hottest day of the year so far.
No way. Wow.
I'm under an umbrella, so.
Hey, so we're going to talk about which of your two awesome books? Both? One or the other?
We can talk about both. The one I'm doing a giveaway on is my second book, Crazy Little Town Called Love.
Perfect.
Molly's story. But we can, if I remember what happens in this book. This is my first book, the To Hell and Back Club, and Molly is introduced in this story. And then I just finished writing my third book, so that's where my head is at right now. And then I'm plotting my fourth book. So hopefully I remember what happens in these books.
So talk to me about Crazy Little Town Called Love, because that's your most recent one, although sounds like there's another one coming soon. So tell us a little bit more about it.
So where I got the idea from, it was actually a pretty easy story for me to write. Back in my early 20s, we bought an old rundown general store in the town that I still live in. So that was almost 40 years ago, and owned it for 12 years, and I had an attached home, and there was good things and bad things about it, like with any business. But, so I kind of lived that story firsthand, and I had grown up in the Twin Cities. So Molly's story is, I call her Metro Molly in there. She loves the cities, has no intention of moving anywhere else, but she kind of gets backed into a corner for a variety of reasons and finds out that her deceased mother inherited this little old general store and attached home in a town called Love, which Molly's never been at. So once she's kind of out of options in Minneapolis, she takes a trip up there, reinvents herself sort of in this town that she thinks she's not going to like. She thinks the people are nosy and nothing to do, but then she finds out that the town is really fun and they have a lot of fun activities, and the people aren't nosy, they're just curious, and it's kind of has mystery to it too. There's a little bit of romance and humor, but there's mystery because somebody doesn't want her in town, and pretty soon she's receiving these subtle threats. She doesn't know who's after her and who wants to get rid of her. But,
wow. And one of the things I've heard about your books, and I've had the lucky privilege of hearing several scenes from your first one as well, but I've heard people talk a lot about how they have a great sense of place, that they really are like grounded in Minnesota, and that like you're one of those authors who like takes from your place and brings that into the book. Does that resonate?
I think so. Well, especially in Crazy Little Town Called Love, because I had a lot of people thinking that this was the town that I live in. I'm like, I wish my town, I love the town I live in, but it's not that town. But I have lived in Minnesota for over 50 years. I was a Air Force brat before my parents settled in the Twin Cities. So, it's easy for me to write about. My third book also takes place in another fictitious town in Minnesota. And she's a Wisconsin farm girl. We had a lake cabin when I was growing up that was on a farm. So again, that was easy for me to write about. Yeah.
And is that the lake right behind you, or a lake right behind you right now?
Yes. And actually we have one on the other side of our house too. So it's pretty nice.
Do you write outside?
Oh, yes, I do. As much as I can. I will sit out here on the deck, or I will go down on our dock. I'm out here until the snow falls with a blanket on, because I can't stand to be inside. It's the California in me.
I love it. I love it. And what might people not know about your books, right? You've got some followers already. I know you've got some loyal fans already. People love these books. Tell us something we might not know. Like, what do you have to cut out? What's a hard part? Tell us something we might not know.
Oh, gosh. Well, my first book, one of the trivia things that I talk about when I meet with book clubs is, at the time that I wrote the first book, we had 15 grandkids. And so they are all mentioned in the story. Can you see me okay? Or
Yeah,
is it dark?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
You got a little bit of an angel halo from the sun.
Oh,
You're good.
well, that's perfect. So that's one thing about the To Hell and Back Club. The first 15 grandkids are all characters in there, minor characters, but they're all mentioned in there. And that came up. That was an idea from me when my best friend in real life was dying of cancer, and I think that's when I started writing the story. And I don't know if you were in that day where I had to read some of it, and I started crying at the women's fiction.
Yep.
Anyway, so that's
because it was a very emotional scene. Like I can remember vividly the scene that you read from that first book.
Yeah. So when I have had, there's been a few events, usually if they're at libraries, and they'll ask me to read a little bit, and I no longer pick that first chapter. Now I know not to do. But so that was the inspiration for my first book. The second book, Crazy Little Town Called Love, I told you, where that idea came from. And then my third book is more of a psychological suspense with women's fiction. Actually, what happened is I had an agent suggest that I pick a lane. And so that I leaned more towards psychological suspense this time because she thought that was, a little easier way for me to twist it. And to me, it's still women's fiction because I really throw this Lily under the bus and make her go through a lot. She has a really tough time, but I also had introduced her in my first book. And originally I had a lot of people, probably the thing that most people say about my first book is they're wondering if that's a real club, because there's so many women that have gone through a lot, and I will get contacts of, if it's a real club, where's my nearest chapter, because I
oh wow.
Yeah, it's sad how much people have gone through. And so that's probably the biggest thing that I hear from that. And when I wrote,
and that's because show us the book again if you still have it there so people can make the connection. It's called the To Hell and Back Club, and yes. The book is about a group of women who have been to hell and back and who are dealing with a lot of things. And so, but that's amazing that people actually write to you asking if there's a real club they can join. Maybe there should be.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And some have talked about, starting kind of a chapter where they live. So when I was writing that book, I just had ideas for future books that I thought I would want to write. And Molly's was one of them. So I had to write just a little bit about her in the first book, but not enough because I didn't know for sure what her story was. And I also didn't want to be giving away her story, even if I would have known it or who would read the book. But they're actually standalone. The publisher promotes them as a series, but I've had a lot of people read the second book before the first book. So it doesn't matter. And actually that takes place chronologically because it is Molly's story of how she joined the club.
Awesome. So, well, this has been really helpful. Show us the second book again, because that's the one you're giving away today for Women's Fiction Day, right?
Yep, that's right. That right there.
There you go. Crazy Little Town Called Love. Well, thank you. And thank you for taking me to a lake this afternoon, because it's a long time since I've been to a lake. So
you're welcome. I haven't actually dipped a toe in there yet, but soon.
Awesome. Well, take care, Jill. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Lainey. I appreciate it.
Take care. Bye.